I want to take a minute to say the quiet part out loud. What if you never make it? What if you don't get that contract? What if you don't get published? What if you don't find your big break? And what if, by all respects and all ways of measuring it, it doesn't seem like anybody ever seems to care? It's something that as creatives, we think about a lot. I think people in general think about it a lot, but creatives especially, because in a lot of ways, that's how we measure so much of our success. If you're an artist, how many paintings do you sell? How many people know your name? If you're a musician, can you headline a concert? Can you sell a bunch of albums? If you're a writer, can you sell books? Can you even get published in the first place? It's something that is constantly in the back of our mind. And it's something that we don't try to think about. It's not something we want to think about, but it's something that's there regardless. And I think in some respects that's good. It's good to think about that sometimes, and to think about, if the success, if this view of success, of popularity, of fame doesn't ever come, it provides the opportunity to think about another question, which is, would you keep making things anyway if you never found success? When I was younger, making it was the goal, right? I wanted to be an artist at one point, and for me, being a good artist meant I got to be working for Disney. I got to draw for Pixar. I got to do work that people knew all around the world. And then whenever I wanted to be a musician, I wanted to be a famous musician. I wanted, my music to be the most streamed on Spotify, and people to, just marvel at the brilliance of my work. I was never that great of a musician, but that's where my head was. And then when I wanted to be an author, and even still today, but especially whenever I started out, I wanted to be a best-selling author. I wanted to be somebody who you could find on a bookshelf, a store shelf, the same way that you would Stephen King or Ernest Hemingway. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Making it, wanting success is very normal. But I think, we have this idea that there are only two options in life. You either make it, you become famous, people know who you are, or you don't. And you're obscure and nobody cares, and nobody, even notices that you put in the work in the first place. But that isn't really how it works. There's not a finish line. There's not a place that you get to where all of a sudden somebody hands you a trophy and they say, "Congrats, you made it, you did it, yay!" Even for the people that do make it, people whose goal is to write a book, and then they write a book, do they feel like any more of a success than the people that never do? Probably to some extent, they get to check off a box and they get to say, "Hey, I did this was on my bucket list, congratulations, yay, I did," But creatives, we have this deal with imposter syndrome, and success is always a moving target. Whatever you wanted, you end up getting, and then you want something else, and you're always hustling and you're always trying for the new thing, and more than likely you're failing at the next thing, even if you found success at the thing before. And so creativity is not something that you can just get to and finish and make it. It's something that is a constant journey, is a constant pursuit, and is something that even the most successful among us still try to reach. And I think this is important to talk about, because when you're asking the question, what if I never make it? What you're really asking is what I am making right now worth it if nobody cares? And that's a hard question to ask, because the truth is, regardless of if you are the most successful person in the world and you do the best at the thing that you love, somebody's not going to care. People won't care. And sometimes the thing that you pour your heart and soul into will not matter to a lot of people. And that sucks. It sucks to not get noticed. It sucks to not get that recognition when you pour your heart and soul into so many things. But as creatives, that's something that we have to find peace with. And it's something that you have to figure out, what is worth pursuing regardless. For me, being a writer is part of who I am. And I have big goals as a writer, as a professional working in marketing and doing the 9-to-5 thing, but also as a creative, wanting to write books, wanting to find success. I have goals and I have things that I want to do. But the reason that I am driven to be a writer and to do those things is because even if that never happens, even if I never publish a book, even if I never finish a book, and nobody ever even knows or remembers that I was a writer, writing makes me feel alive. Writing makes me feel like I am connecting to myself in a way that very few other things can. And so for me, it's very easy for me to say like, hey, yeah, if I write this thing and nobody cares, will it still matter? Yes, because for me, it is an intrinsic part of who I am. And I think that is a question and an answer that creatives really have to reckon with. And if the only reason that you're making something is to make it, i.e. get famous, get rich, whatever that is for you, the truth is you'll probably burn out. Being a creative, doing creative things is risky and it's really hard work. And if you're going to keep doing it for the long haul, you need to have something that pulls you forward. A love of the thing, a curiosity for what comes next, an obsession with doing better. And if you don't have a need to see if you just can do it, if you don't have a need to just contribute to the art form, you're not going to have something that will keep moving you forward on the days that it feels pointless. And so many of the greats are people who actually make good work because they care about what they're doing at some other level than just the craft themselves. It's something internal. It's something that drives them. It's something where they have something to say and they need to say it regardless of how many people hear about it. And I'm not saying don't try. I'm not saying don't dream. I'm not saying don't want it. I want it. I want to do well. I want to be successful. I want to write a really cool thing that people like. But that's not the only reason that I do it, and it shouldn't be the only reason that you do it either. Because the truth is, like me as a writer, if nobody else sees it, I see it. I care. I get to see myself getting better. I get to see what I'm capable of. And for me, that matters. It matters because I get to see the thing that I want to exist out in the world. I get to put a part of myself out into the world that is lasting and enduring. And for me, that's everything. For a lot of creatives, that's everything. And for a lot of people, the goal then should be, what is that for you? If it isn't writing, if it isn't art, if it isn't music, if it isn't dancing or cooking or whatever, like that is 100% fine. But what is it for you that drives you regardless of what the success is? What is something that you would do regardless, that you would do for free? Because a lot of creativity is doing things for free. A lot of creativity is doing things and failing at things and being frustrated by things. And so, yeah, what if you never make it? What if you don't have a viral moment or you don't book the thing that you wanted to book? Figure out what is the thing that you will make anyway. What is the thing that will keep pulling you forward when everything seems to be falling down? And if what you're doing right now, the answer to that is like, yeah, this is 100% that. Keep going, keep doing the work, because it'll probably pay off eventually. And even if you don't find the exact success you're looking for, you'll find a modicum of it. You'll find something that you'll be able to like hit your hat on and be proud. But if you're not, figure out what that is, because that is the thing that matters the most. Figuring out what is something that you would be willing to do forever. So yeah, what if you never make it? What if you don't get the validation you're hoping for? You don't get the book deal, you don't get the viral moment. What is the thing that you will be okay with that with? What is the thing that you would keep doing if nobody cared. If it is what you're doing right now, 100%, keep going for it, because you will find some level of success and you will get a modicum of the thing that you were looking for. But if you aren't doing the thing that you feel like you could do regardless, if you are only doing it because you want success, you want money, you want whatever, rethink it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's working for you, but it also may be a thing where you find an opportunity to unlock something really cool, to figure out something that means a whole lot more to you than a paycheck and recognition. And if that's all you ever do, you connect with yourself better, you connect with a handful of people better, I would say that's enough.